Manfrotto's BeFree tripod has been one of the most popular travel tripods of recent years, and now there is the new BeFree Advanced. It's roughly the same size and weight, but it adds some new features that really take the BeFree range to the next level. Okay, so first up, let's talk about legs. We've got 4-section aluminium legs, and the diameters of each of the legs are exactly the same as on the existing BeFree aluminium, quite thin as you can see here. Now we've got a new side lever lock here to choose the 3 different angle positions, and this side lever is a lot better than the kind of twist lock catch that was at the top on the original BeFree that was used to change the leg angles. Now, if you already own a BeFree, you'll notice that I said that there are 3 leg positions on the new BeFree Advanced, whereas the original BeFree only has 2 positions. The new position on the Advanced is actually an 89-degree angle, so almost 90 degrees, and it allows you to put the tripod almost completely flat on the floor, but you do obviously have to raise the center column at this point because otherwise it's going to be below the ground. Now the final position, of course, is one that simply folds the leg back in on itself, so everything folds flat when you're traveling. Now when it comes to weight, the new features of the BeFree Advanced add a mere 90 grams. It comes in at 1.49 kilos as opposed to 1.4 kilos. So 2 of the new features of the BeFree Advanced make a slight difference to the maximum height of the new tripod. Now the first of these is that there's a new tripod head, which we'll come on to talk about in a minute. The second new feature is that there's this new center column lock, which is actually a kind of sleeve, cuff, collar, whatever you want to call it, and it replaces the kind of screw that was on the side that locked the center column on the original BeFree. Now the collar is obviously large, it's very easy to find without taking your eye away from the viewfinder. It's got a couple of ridges here so that you can quickly grip it when you've got gloves, and it saves you having to hunt around for that little side notch, the little side screw on the original, which you never quite knew where exactly it was. Now with this center column fully extended, the Advanced actually has a maximum height of 150 centimeters and a minimum height of 40 centimeters. Now that's 6 centimeters higher than the previous tripod, but in the day of tilting screens, it doesn't actually make too much difference. It's slightly more comfortable if you're going to be using a viewfinder. So I'm about 5'11", 6 foot, and I've no problem using this at eye level. Just have to duck down a tiny bit, but it still feels quite comfortable when you're using it. Now it's worth noting that the minimum heights are actually a little bit deceptive, and I say this in a good way. It's actually because what you can do is on the bottom of the center column just here, there's this kind of rubber bung. Now if you take the stopper out, you can actually take the whole center column out and reverse it upside down, and then of course just pop the rubber bung back in, and then of course you can now mount the camera completely upside down. Now Manfrotto don't make a big deal out of this. In fact, I've not actually seen them recommend it at all, so maybe you're not meant to do this, but hey, it works, and it's just something else you can do with this tripod if you want to get even lower to the ground. So photographers will argue all day about twist locks versus lever locks, just as much as Canon, Nikon, Mac PC, iOS, Android, but thankfully with the BeFree Advanced, you actually have the option of whether you want twist locks or levers on your legs. Now I'm testing the advanced version with the twist locks, as you can see here. Now I like twist locks that are really well made. They don't require much turning, and I find them a little bit neater on a travel tripod. It's easier to get in and out of bags and cases and things like that. There's less kind of to stick out. It's a little bit more flush to the leg. What I do like about levers though is that there's a definite point. There's a definite locked and open, and it's very quickly clear to see which leg or which section hasn't been locked properly. So there are advantages of both. Now I found the BeFree Advanced twist locks to be a good size. There's good rubber grips on here, and they're fairly easy to open with just a single hand and when wearing gloves. So again, that's something that's really nice. As you can see, I can open the whole lot and I can lock all the legs in one go there. Very, very simple, and they don't require a huge twist. You're looking at about half a turn there to get it to its kind of maximum, and they're pretty solid and nice and rigid. So if you like twist locks, these ones are pretty good. And if you don't like twist locks, then there's always the lever lock version, and both versions of the BeFree Advanced travel tripod are about the same price. So as I've said before on this channel, there's no point pushing down on a tripod head and legs to see just how good they are. The force you're going to be exerting is going to be far in excess of the weight of any camera body and lens that you're going to be putting on here. So it's not really a valid test. However, it is fun to do, so let's just give it a try. So pushing down there, a bit of movement, but that's pretty solid. These leg locks are actually really strong. Now Manfrotto claimed that this can hold up to 8 kilos in weight, but you shouldn't have any problems kind of holding that weight at all. There's going to be no problems with a pro body and a telephoto lens. The key obviously is to make sure that everything's balanced properly. That's far more important, to get that combination balanced and the legs at the right angle to be able to support that. Now if you're out in windy conditions or you are using a camera with a bit of weight on it on the top, just to stabilise everything, you'll probably want to use just this little hook here that's on the side, and that will allow you to attach your bag or a sandbag or something, just to add a bit of ballast to weigh this all down. Now travel tripods are always going to be a bit of a compromise when it comes to flexibility. You've got 4 joints here, you've got thin legs, so there's going to be a bit of wobble, and the BeFree Advanced is no exception. I mean, it's quite strong and rigid, but it is flexing a bit with those legs. I don't think it's anything to be concerned about. If you want thicker legs, if you're going to need something more stable, probably step up to the 190 or the 055 range. But to be honest, for 90% of what most people are doing, this is probably going to be absolutely fine and to do the job, particularly for travel photographers. Like I say, if you really want to keep ultra steady, you're going to need some bigger, chunkier legs. And that isn't really what a travel tripod is all about. Oh, and if you're shooting video, there's actually a BeFree Advanced Live. It's kind of the same tripod legs, but you get a leveling base, and then you get the BeFree Live video head, which I've actually reviewed before on another video, so make sure you check that out. Now Manfrotto have just added their new 494 ball head to the Advanced, and I have to say it's a big improvement on the previous model. Now again, if I lock the head and really pull down on here, there's virtually no movement. It's really reassuring. However, it's worth noting that I'm pulling from the base here, and I'm not pulling from like the top where a camera would be, or from the front of a lens, and obviously there's going to be greater leverage there. You're going to be able to apply more force. However, again, unless you're planning on mounting an absolutely ridiculously large camera and lens on this setup, then this little head is going to be more than strong enough to cope with your kind of travel needs. You know, a pro camera 24-70, I can't really see this being a problem whatsoever. So the head itself is larger than its predecessor, but there are also some other improvements. We've got this large knob on the side here of the ball head, and that unlocks it, but it also adds a resistance. You can choose sort of how loose or strong you want that. The old head had no friction control. There was actually this just one kind of screw lock, and that screw lock also controlled not only the ball head but the panning motion, whereas on here on the 494 we've got a separate panning lock, so I can't twist that now, unlock that, and we can pan. So it's good to have both of those separate controls. Now the 494 head actually uses the new 200 PL plates, and it also can use all those old Manfrotto RC2 plates and Arca Swiss plates. So regardless of what tripod you might be coming from, this should have you pretty much covered. It's a nice slim profile plate. Got a large lock on the bottom. Oh, and there's also actually a Sony Alpha version of the BeFree, and with that you get a specially designed plate which is meant to perfectly fit the A7 and A9 cameras, and the plate of course is in that kind of Sony Cinebarb metallic orangey colour, as are a few of the other highlights on the tripod. So the final nice touch on this is the Easy Link connection. Now basically this is a 3/8 of an inch screw thread connection, and it allows you to attach accessory arms. Now that in turn means you can, via the accessory arm, mount an audio recorder, an iPad, maybe a laptop stand, any number of accessories. As long as you can get it all to balance, you can mount it via an arm on the side here. Really useful, really handy to have, and it's a feature that's found higher up in the Manfrotto range. In summary, I've got an original BeFree tripod. Let's just get that out there now. I use it a couple of times a week. Manfrotto have sent me this for review. It's not mine, I'm not keeping it, it's going back, but I have to say I'm a big fan of it, and I will be looking to get this tripod. It's just got a touch of finesse that the original one didn't have. The original one's a great tripod, it's pretty solid, it's great for traveling. Plenty of videos about YouTubers who use it almost on a daily basis. What this advanced version does is add a touch of finesse to all of that. We've got the extra mounting point for accessory arms, great for an audio recorder or monitor. We've got the leg lock system being twist lock, which personally I prefer. Don't like it. Like I said, lever lock's also available. Now the angle position, this is much better than the original version. I can't emphasize how much better just having this slide on the side of the leg is compared to the fiddly previous version. Much better, big improvement. The collar, another great improvement, no fiddling around trying to find that lock on the side. And then the head itself, you can buy the head separately actually for around £70, and if you've got one of the original BeFrees, it's probably quite a good investment to get this. It's such a basic, simple head. It's one of Manfrotto's most basic heads, but it's strong. It's just nice to use. It's got a friction control, nice plate system. There's just loads to like about it. I really like the BeFree Advanced tripod, and I can recommend it if you're just starting out in photography. It's going to be a great first tripod. Often if you buy a cheap tripod, you'll end up buying another one in a year or two when it lets you down because it breaks, or you find you want something a little bit more stable. Now, if you're a more advanced photographer, it fits in more with the Manfrotto range. It's got some of the features that the tripods higher up have got, and that's going to be great if you've already invested a little bit in the Manfrotto system. Now, obviously, travel tripods, there's a huge market and there's lots of variety, and there's a huge difference in price from some of the cheapest ones right up to the, the Jitso travel tripods, which are hugely expensive compared to even something like this Manfrotto. What we want to do is test a number of those different travel tripods, and we want to evaluate them and mark them for value for money and also for quality, and just overall which one we think represents the best compromise for traveling between all of those things: quality, convenience and price. Sounds like QVC actually a little bit. Maybe I've just ripped that off. Anyway, to make sure you don't miss out on that video, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can keep up to date with all the latest photo gear news and reviews.